Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Melanie Cassar, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Navy is Commander Brett Westcott. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial and students on behalf of St Paul's Anglican Grammar School, Traralgon Campus, Victoria. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. If able, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where family and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Victor Collins Williamson. Victor Williamson was born in Mortlake, Victoria in 1893, the second son of John and Annie Williamson. Victor grew up in Mortlake, where he was educated at the local state school. He went on to become a motor mechanic, working for H. Goodall & Sons garages in Mortlake and Terang. He was also a member of the Mortlake Fire Brigade. Victor was described as being of cheerful disposition and universally esteemed, and a man who took an intelligent view on matters of the moment. Victor Williamson enlisted in the Australian Imperial Force in January 1915. He went into camp to begin his military training, joined by a number of his mates from Mortlake. The group returned home for final leave on the 24th of April, 1915, with the Mortlake railway station crowded with relatives and friends there to greet them. By the time they arrived in Melbourne a few days later, the newspapers were full of the news of landing at Gallipoli. Private Victor Williamson left Australia for active service overseas with the 21st Battalion on the 10th of May, 1915. With him was his mate from Mortlake, Private Dick Ahern. The two would first be sent to Egypt, where they continued training in the desert for some weeks before preparing to leave for Gallipoli. On the 29th of August 1915, men of the 2nd Division, including the 21st Battalion, began to board the troop ship Southland, bound for the island of Lemnos. 3 days later, they were 40 miles from the island, which would be at the staging point for their departure to Gallipoli. At 9:45 a.m. on the 2nd of September 1915, a torpedo from the enemy submarine struck the Southland, with a second only narrowly missing it. The ship was evacuated, but although it was listing sharply to one side, it did not sink. With the chance of saving the vessel, the captain called for volunteers to go into the hold to man the fires and maintain steam. Victor, with his background as a mechanic, and Dick, who had been an engine driver at the Mortlake butter factory, were two of the 11 men who volunteered to go into the hold. Dick Ahern later recalled, "Some of the volunteers felt a bit off as they went down the long succession of ladders, passing the gratings to the stokehold, but it was only for a few seconds, and they set to. It was awfully hot down there, but our only hope was to keep moving. We kept the pumps going, got steam up, which enabled the engineer to get the ship underway. We had the engines going when a relief party of stokers from the Royal Navy came on board. I was never so glad to see a sailor in all my life. We got out on deck after doing 2 hours below, and our coal dust-covered appearance was enough to have brought tears of laughter to your eyes." Williamson sent home a picture of the ship featuring the volunteers' signatures on the back. The courage shown by the volunteers was rewarded by a feast of 8 chickens and letters of appreciation sent to their families. The Mortlake newspaper reported on the actions of Victor Williamson and Dick Ahern, saying, "The citizens of the town and the district were proud of these young men who had faced death unflinchingly in order to save their ship." Williamson and Ahern reached Gallipoli, arriving after the major offensives. Largely involved in defensive activity, in November, Williamson was one of the Australians who saw Lord Kitchener's address at Gallipoli when he told the Australians that the Empire praises you for your deeds and the King sends his warmest thanks for what you have done. The whole world is proud of you. In 1916, the 21st Battalion was sent to France to fight on the Western Front. Its first major battle came in the middle of the year at Pozières, when the successful capture of the village was followed by a series of small, desperately fought battles under some of the heaviest shelling of the war. On On the 26th of August 1916, Private Victor Williamson was killed in action. Little is known of the manner of his death, likely the result of the unceasing artillery fire of that battlefield. His body was never recovered, and today he is commemorated on the Australian National Memorial at Villers-Bretonneux. He was 24 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Victor Collins Williamson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we who are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the Director and staff, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support of the Memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening.